talking to you about your month of November. Well, wake up. I like that you've done what you've done. I like it, and this might have not been the best type of month to get the right type of response or attention for you, but you've done the thing. You've done the thing, and however small or insignificant it might have felt at the time, you've done it. And also because we're not yet there as a collective to really appreciate or see or kind of understand what you're talking about or what you do, that's not okay that we can't. But it's okay that you have. That you have the new idea, perhaps you got the new stamina, you might have become a new type of you, you might have created over October, over the last few weeks actually, even longer than October, a very good brand new situation for yourself. You might have said the thing, you might have done the hair different, you might have created a new situation. You might have decided on a new brand for yourself or a new branding campaign. You could have created a brand new situation at home or with another. You could have just called somebody up and said, I like you a lot, because you wanted to make it matter. Perhaps you've wanted it so much that you made a little bit of a fool of yourself, and perhaps a few people have deleted you off Facebook or decided that you were a little bit crazy, or whatever happened. You've done it, and however you've come out of the situation really is no show yet. So don't worry. For example, if you started a new label and you're seeing people kind of go on a little tiny stream and kind of looking at you like, oh, hey, why did you do that? Don't worry about them. This is the best time for yourself to be free, to truly be, and unlike many of us, to truly deserve to be yourself. Really deserve to be yourself. And how come you've done things you really do not need to tell anybody? Because sometimes even you don't know why. But this is the ironic thing that November, I feel, brings. In some other sense, you might find somebody else already having a similar idea. Or in some sense, you already kind of can see, maybe even by the last week of October, a string of events showing you that you're not that crazy after all. Maybe everybody was kind of thinking it or feeling it this whole time. Perhaps nobody just had the guts or the stamina to say it. Nobody yet understood what you were, but in the same sense, we all felt it. We all wanted it to be real. So truth is that you have created a catalyst, perhaps, for yourself and other people to get it, to finally understand it, to voice it, and to stop pretending it's not there. So for example, if you just came up to somebody and said, you're a fool, like, you're a fool, and you perhaps have had a lot of backlash from that person, or you might have accidentally burned down a relationship or even a whole house, that's okay, because that person might already have had many different people tell them that, but in a very, very quiet, subtle way, without actually getting anything across. You might cause a few fights still in November if you haven't yet spoken out or haven't yet done that thing that you kind of been itching to do in October for no reason. If you haven't yet totally, truly owned yourself and totally, truly said, hey guys, this is who I am, that's not okay. So by November, there should be at least one or two things that October has created different for you. You might have made yourself look different. You might have created a brand new idea for your business. You might have created a very, very radical way of marketing your work. You might have made a very, very big move or a large statement towards something or someone. And if it isn't quite there yet and it's on your lips, it's on the tip of your tongue, but you're kind of fighting yourself for it, that's not good. So become that brave Aries that you know you can be, and start doing that now. And if you feel like there is a lot of danger suddenly, like in October there was a really nice plane to just say the thing or do the thing, but if you're finding that in November there is like a jagged edge to everything, and there is a feeling or a fear that you might get pushed aside, you might get humiliated, or you might get even abused, or like really deeply humbled in some way, That is true. There is not really that smooth terrain to really call the shots now. Until maybe the 27th of October, there's still a chance to just go, hey, you, did you know this is this and this and this? Hey, guy, I just wanted to tell you the truth. I wanted to tell you this. There is still time until the 27th, or maybe even for some, the 28th of October, when you can call the shots and sort of call things out and kind of be heard and understood, and people are like, oh yeah, I can see what you mean, yeah, I can see. But when November truly hits, even the 28th, 29th of October hits, you're basically done. It's not a great idea to now start throwing things around and saying to yourself, damn it, I knew I should have bid on Bitcoin, or like, damn it, I shouldn't have had that person over. Oh man, damn it, I should have never, held back, or I should have moved. Oh, damn it. Okay, so November is a solid ground where if you're moving too fast, or if you're doing too much, or if you're meaning too much with what you do and what you've come to be, sometimes you can get snapped or zapped by reality, as if something shocks you into your place. And this means that this taser edge, this taser edge on us, and this taser edge, like this Scorpio tail, can sort of come through in really odd ways. So before, say for example, if you didn't put someone in their place, and you didn't say, hey, you've been really cruel to me, la la la. In October, they could have been like so blasé, because everything was kind of like murky in October. They could have said, oh, yeah, okay. This person now isn't going to respond in the same way. So for example, if you're calling someone out, or you like calling something out, you might get suddenly snapped back. So definitely not the best time to wait if you are still in these ending days of October, before the 28th, 27th for most. If you really wanted to finally say, I did it, or I think you're wrong, or I think that's abusive, if you wanted to maybe bet on something, or you wanted to carry something through, or you want to finally send that book to the publisher, or you want to finally approach that person or this person, something that I'm going to do tonight, if you still have that edge, and you're nervous about it, do it now, because for some reason it feels to me that the emails sent, or the phone calls made, or the things that were bet before the 27th of October, they may have a chance to stand. But things after the 28th, 29th, when you're just kind of like, should I? And no, it might not work. So definitely with snapping up things, snapping up decisions, snapping up even sales and bargains, like, oh, you gotta buy that boat, things like that. Probably not the best idea in general, because I don't like consumerism. But like, say if you really wanted to snap something up, or you wanted to snap something out, especially out, like protrude forth and make a decision, best time to do it in the last few days coming up to the 28th. A new thing for you perhaps in November is love and care, because as we've had now a lot of changes in the sky for you, you might understand that suddenly you are loved and cared for. For some reason, for some people, it'll be from a completely strange source. Like, for example, an ex of yours that has loved you a long time ago, you've parted really badly, writes you emails now and serenades you. Love. Weird. A love can come from anywhere during this month for you. So for example, you have never ever wanted this person, you've never really tried, and suddenly they just break down and say, I love you, and it's for real. Love and funny places. But for you, for some of us, this is a scary thought. For you, it's not. And it might be a really nice formative energy in the year to come as Jupiter's expanding your 8th house. However, how come you haven't seen it before? How come it wasn't available to you earlier? And that might be an interesting question, because for some of you guys, it might not be it. That's why you didn't really want to look at it. And it sort of like came out as almost like the scraping of, the last part of the previous like sequence, like an old scraping of something, like You know, it's like you're frying rice with egg and then you get that scraping of egg on the bottom of the pan. It's like that last scraping that you don't really need, but you kind of have anyway. Or hopefully not, because that's not very healthy for you. Or there is another thing that could be, is that it couldn't have been received before, and now you actually have room, space, or the mind view to receive it. And that's really sickening sometimes to see, because, for example, especially if you've been for these people or this person for your whole freaking life, and you've been holding a torch for someone, or you've been like trying to create a relationship with your mother, or you've been trying to find that contact with that ex-boyfriend of yours, and in sudden motion of time, in a really weird, awful way, when there are no things between you anymore, and there is nothing that you are trying to connect, and it's done, it reaches out to you and say, hey, what about me? That's really strange. When you've been like fighting for someone's heart, or you've been considering with great respect somebody who's never really seemingly giving you the chance, but the reason is either because it wasn't really part of you yet, or it couldn't have been at the time. And now, for some reason, doors are opening to love and lovers that are from the past, perhaps for some of you guys, and for some of you guys from the future. So, this is a very strange thing. I mean, you could have been in love with a girl when you were in your 20s, for example, and you could be suddenly doing gigs and you're in your 40s, and you find somebody who's only just 20 something, and they look exactly like her, and she's suddenly reaching out to you. That kind of thing. Like strangeness, and the ironic. It's not even ironic, it's almost like a deep weirdness of how things work out that way. And also the possibility of somebody who you thought you were completely in love with for a long time, just got over or just started to not think about, reaches forward to you, or somebody exactly like them reaches forward to you with such intensity and depth and passion that you don't even know who you are anymore, or who you've become, or who you've been. It's just a complete overthrow of your previous maybe sexual or emotional expression. Perhaps it is almost like a debilitating feeling when you kind of like almost step out of your body and you're kind of looking at the situation, you don't actually really understand what to feel, and that's not okay. So if you are shaken and you're ripped out of your body by an experience, or you are somehow not sure how to react, really take time. Time is a good friend at the moment. It would be really, really nice to maybe see somebody who can show you how to approach this. It could be really, really nice to see a counselor, a psychiatrist, psychologist, somebody who can actually talk to you about these things, because you might not be in love with that energy anymore, and you might want to be very, 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 very discerning about the types of steps that you take with these types of people or these situations that have never, ever, ever supported you, and suddenly they look to you with such great, maybe even remorse and respect. So definitely take everything very carefully. Don't buy into anything. Don't buy into anything in general this year, but this month especially, don't buy into anything. And try to not struggle anymore as well. Not struggle anymore. In terms of friends, in terms of lovers, in terms of ambitions in the bedroom, in terms of ambitions with people, and ambitions with you, it's not a good time to struggle. Another interesting thing for Aries is with timing. Time is your friend. In this particular month, I feel that you have a very magnetic and manageable energy about time. Time and you, I feel, are working really, really well. And there could be lots of lucky things happening because you've turned up at the right place at the right time. Another few things with time is don't worry if you are late, and definitely don't be too concerned if you're early, because I feel that there is something happening with time and space where things are molded to you, and it's almost like as if you are time itself. It's not easy maybe to understand, but it feels like the energy of time, or rather the ability to just turn up, becomes quantum, And even though it might be beyond your own understanding as to how things happen, they just turn out right. So definitely don't worry about it. And if you've got to go sometimes, you've got to go then and there. And if you've got to stick out somewhere and say the thing, don't worry if it sounds like a bit strange, say it then and there, unless you're really in a tight spot with things and you really don't feel safe. Which is very likely for some of us. But yeah, definitely very nice to be able to speak out and to come out and be that person. The ultimate part of November is sexuality, and it doesn't have to be hard, it doesn't have to be creepy, mystical, or weird. Sex is basically the resolvent of things. It's almost like it is the amazing centerpiece. It is the amazing centerpiece, or it's even like the incredible force that just resolves. If you've ever had a fight, you might already know this about you. In any sense, sexuality solves a lot of instinctual issues that people have, you know, like instinctual issues, like say if they fight on an instinctual level and it's not even human, it's like a animalistic energy that comes through, and then sexuality just resolves it. Any kind of sex with people, though, has to be very, very plain and very obvious as what it is, because it is very easily to get caught up. So don't buy into anything. Once again, don't buy into anything. It's very easily to get caught up in situations where you're not sure why, but there is an addiction cycle there, or how come like this person really wants me for this but doesn't actually want to spend time with me and talk to me. So it is best to be as plain, simple, and honest and open about sexuality as possible, and to create it into something that's very, very simple and plain straight away, as Jupiter is going for your 8th house, without having to maximalize it, without having to eternalize it, like eternity, like eternalize it, or I'm not even sure if that's a word, it is now, or kind of situate as something very precious to yourself. And the other thing about it is also not to consider other people's business your own. So for example, if you've got an ex and they're now sleeping with someone else, it's also very easy, very, very nice time to let things go in terms of things that haven't really worked out, or things that will never work out with people with whom you were perhaps planning to or feeling to experience something special. It's a very, very nice time to let go of people, actually, just to let go of as many different types of things as you can that you've had with other people. It's a really nice time to even burn old photographs, get rid of old personal items that you've shared with somebody. Leaving the house more often if you aren't in a relationship which makes you feel good, but in general, even if you are, it's a great time to leave the house and to search for creative experiences or emotional experiences outside of the normal. It's a very, very nice time to let things go, let things slide, to the point where you might eventually see that your friendship circle burns out really, really fast, and you have to find new people for yourself. It's an interesting time to not do that, though. Not do approaching people for friendship just yet, until you can kind of see why you'd like to have a friendship with them. If you are not considering your friendship and work the same thing, it could be a nice time to have a look and have a perhaps think about if you still want to approaching clients for work. But mind you, in November you might look very, very small unless you've got something behind you that's quite large. So with approaching clients or approaching jobs, it's not probably the simplest time to do that, because people do have a little bit of an enigma about them and a little bit of a grandiose little complex perhaps about you, or surprisingly, or the story. So things kind of are out of proportion. But through sex, like simple sexuality, and through things like food and drink and walking about and just having a very simple experience, I feel you can resolve any knots or any kind of like magic spells. Also good to be fit, great to become more aware of your physical self, very good to become very aware of the tangible. Like for example, I make dinner, I wash the dishes, you know, I put them away. It's very, very interesting to get into routine and the norm here quite fast. Otherwise, if you are jumping on a bandwagon with somebody who is creating an enigmatic experience out of pretty much everything, it might feel very surreal, and it might feel harmless and quite beckoning, but then in the next year you might have too much of that stuff going on, and it's never good for anybody to have too much enigma or mystery unless they are truly focusing in that field alone. If you are unlike others and you are focusing a lot of yourself into, any kind of arts that are esoteric or mystical, that's not such a good idea in November unless you've got a very strong body, because I'm feeling that the physique has to become, how can I say, compatible with that type of work. Unless you are totally like dream walker, so like say you spend a lot of your time basically half asleep, hallucinating, which is something that I've done for a long time. If you are somebody who works between dream states completely, it's kind of not okay unless you've got a lot of other signs. It is mostly not okay for Aries to be out of their body, but if you've become to be like that, there is ways to work with spirit without having too much on your plate, as November does serve us up a huge freaking portion of interdimensional opportunities that are a little bit too much for one person to handle. It's as if you've gone into some kind of like a candy shop of opportunity, energetically, interdimensionally, and for many of us, it's not so easy to choose which ones. And occasionally, if we, as I have literally just yesterday, actually last night, if you have a premonition from spirit or some kind of energy offering you to work with something, and then you say you're not sure and you sort of decide to try it out, don't. So no buying into things, even if they sound really super good. If you're a channel like me, or if you're some kind of like a ghost hunter or something like that, very much a nice time not to dig too deep with that type of thing, and to allow it to be as mild as possible. Even if you feel like you've just been talking to Jesus all night, or if you like have this feeling like there is something really large watching over you, just take it with a pinch of salt, because there's going to be lots of different sales in the astral, and people and beings and all sorts of things trying to push themselves onto other people. So definitely try and make it simple. So you get up in the morning and go, okay, I'm going to brush my teeth, I'm going to get dressed, I'm going to have a shower, hopefully shower before you get dressed. And then you think, okay, I'm going to make some eggs or bacon, whatever you have, or I'm going to make a vegan bowl, hopefully. And I'm going to just sit down and do some meditating, I'm going to do some drawing, then I'm going to do some hiking, then I'm going to take some photos. Keep it as simple as you can, because it feels to me there is a huge light beam that comes through yourself when you are just being a simple person. This is a general Aryan thing, because your innocence and your optimism is the key to your success every time. And the simpler things are, the more obvious they are. The more obvious that you become, and the more obvious your success is and your path is in life. So keeping it simple, keeping it obvious, keeping it perky and quirky and fun is the best way for you to go, and it is also the best way for us to understand who you are. So keeping things easy becomes almost like an enlightening path. If you can imagine just hiking through the forest or just kayaking around the river, can actually become a spiritual journey, and it could actually help your automatization. So it's like when you are not relying on the clock, you're not relying on time, you're not relying on anybody's knowledge and any recycled material, you just become automated being, which is something that's been very helpful for me. So just basically you just walk around and you let your feet be the guide of you, because the feet are the 12th house, they are the unconscious house, they're the most spiritual part of the body, and they can help you become more aware of where you need to be, when and how, and they can become your own inner automated guidance, which I definitely would not mind getting into this month as well. So have a look at how your feet can lead you during this time, how time can be on your side. If you can have a teacher, a Sagittarius mate to help you along, that'd be great. Somebody to help you put things into the easiest perspective yet, and become more yourself. Thank you very much, Aries. If you'd like to check out the links below, you're welcome to. I've got 3 books now. And let me know how you go. If you'd like to subscribe, you can. If you'd like to have a reading, you're welcome. And thank you very much for this. And enjoy, for your attention. And enjoy November. Thanks. Bye.